your heart is calm, your breathing is steady. But at kilometer 32, your legs suddenly refuse to move. If this isn't exhaustion, then what exactly is breaking inside your body? And why does it happen to so many runners at the same point? At kilometer 32, something deeply unsettling happens. Your breathing is steady. Your heart rate looks fine. By every metric you've been taught to trust, you should be able to keep going. And yet, with no warning and no drama, your legs begin to shut down. Not slowly, not gradually. It feels like a switch has been flipped somewhere deep inside your body. One moment you're running, the next you're negotiating with every step, wondering how something that felt so controlled just minutes ago could unravel so completely. This moment haunted me for a long time. Because it doesn't feel like fatigue in the way we're taught to understand it. You're not gasping, you're not dizzy, you're not empty. You're simply failing. And the most disturbing part is how common it is. Different runners, different races, different levels of fitness, same collapse, same kilometer. The same quiet question is forming in the mind. If my heart is still strong, what exactly is breaking? That question is where this story begins. Before we go any further, welcome. If you're someone who runs not just to move, but to understand your body a little better each time you do, you're in the right place. And if you find value in this kind of science-backed, experience-driven exploration, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps support deeper work like this and keeps these conversations going. What most runners are never told is that the marathon doesn't fail you where you're weak. It fails you where you're misinformed. We grow up believing endurance is about lungs, heart, and willpower. That if you can breathe, you can run. And that belief works right up until it doesn't. Because by the time you reach that late race collapse, your problem is no longer aerobic, it's structural. And structure doesn't announce its limits the way cardio does. The body is remarkably good at hiding this truth. It lets your fitness improve quickly. It rewards consistency early. It convinces you that feeling strong means being prepared. And then when the cost finally comes due, it arrives all at once, without negotiation. This video isn't about motivation. It's not about pushing harder or wanting it more. It's about understanding the silent biological timeline that governs why so many runners fall apart at the same point, despite doing everything right. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll see that this pattern isn't just about running. It's about how we build strength in every part of life. And what happens when we mistake readiness for resilience? If this resonates with you, take a moment now to subscribe, alert. It's the simplest way to support more honest, thoughtful content like this in the future. What finally made that question impossible to ignore was realizing how convincingly the wrong answer had been reinforced for years. We are taught, explicitly and implicitly, that endurance is a cardio problem. If your heart rate looks good, if your breathing is under control, if your watch tells you that you're in the right zone, then you must be doing something right. And early in marathon training, this belief feels almost magical. In just a few weeks, your easy pace drops. Runs that once felt taxing suddenly feel smooth. Your body responds quickly, generously, almost eagerly. It rewards you with progress you can see and measure. That's the seductive part. The heart adapts fast, lungs adapt fast, blood volume expands, stroke volume improves, mitochondria multiply. Within 8 to 10 weeks, your aerobic system begins to feel transformed. And because these changes arrive so quickly, they quietly redefine what we think ready means. We start to trust the systems that speak the loudest, the ones our devices can track, the ones that give immediate feedback. But while your engine is celebrating, something else is happening much more quietly. The tissues that actually absorb impact, the tendons, ligaments, fascia, bones, and connective structures that hold everything together, are not improving at the same pace. They don't flood with blood. They don't adapt on a monthly timeline. They remodel slowly, layer by layer, over many months. And they don't send you congratulatory signals when they're underprepared. They simply wait. This is where the illusion forms. When your heart feels strong, you assume your body is ready. When your breathing is calm, you assume durability has been built. But the marathon doesn't ask how fit your engine is. It asks whether the structure carrying that engine can survive tens of thousands of impacts without collapsing. And this is the trap most runners fall into. Not because they're careless, but because the body's fastest adaptations are the most visible. We mistake early cardio gains for total readiness. We listen to the systems that improved first, and we push confidently into a race that will eventually demand more from the parts of us that needed far more time to adapt. That gap between how fast the heart improves and how slowly the body learns to endure is where so many races quietly unravel. That gap is where I stopped blaming nutrition, pacing, or mindset, and started looking at what was actually happening inside the legs when runners fall apart. For years, we've been conditioned to believe that the wall is a fuel problem, that somewhere late in the race, sugar simply runs out and the body shuts down. And fueling matters, of course. But that explanation never matched what I was seeing. Because when runners hit this wall, they don't just slow down, they lose the ability to produce force. Their legs don't feel empty, they feel damaged. Running, at its core, is not a smooth, floating motion. It's a series of controlled collisions. Every step requires your muscles to lengthen while resisting the load to absorb impact. That type of contraction, eccentric contraction, is uniquely destructive. It places enormous stress on muscle fibers, not by shortening them, but by forcing them to break down your body over and over again. Over the course of a marathon, that breaking happens tens of thousands of times. Eventually, the smallest units of muscle, the sarcomeres, begin to fail at their weakest point, the Z-line. Under enough cumulative stress, the structure that allows muscle fibers to transmit force starts to tear. This isn't soreness, it's a structural disruption. And when that disruption reaches a certain threshold, the nervous system intervenes. The brain receives feedback that the tissue is no longer safe to load at the current intensity. Not because you're weak and not because you lack willpower, but because continuing would risk catastrophic injury. So the brain does the only intelligent thing it can do. It reduces the signal to the muscle. It forces you to slow down. This is the moment runners misinterpret as quitting. But nothing is quitting. Your body is protecting itself. This is why the wall feels so final. You can't push through it with motivation. You can't override it with fitness. Oxygen is still arriving. Energy may still be available, but the machinery that converts those resources into forward motion has been compromised. And no amount of aerobic conditioning can fix a structure that has already begun to break. And it's exactly at that moment, when the body is trying to protect itself, that many runners make the most dangerous decision of the entire race. I've seen it too often for it to be accidental. A pill taken quietly before the start, just in case. Another swallowed around kilometer 25 when the discomfort starts to feel unfamiliar. It's framed as being smart, prepared, and responsible. But once you understand what's actually happening inside the muscle, that decision takes on a very different meaning. Pain, in this context, is not the enemy. It's information. When muscle fibers begin to fail structurally, the body releases chemical signals designed to create discomfort for one reason only, to make you stop loading damaged tissue. That signal is not weak, it's protection. When you take an NSAID, you don't fix the damage, you disconnect the warning system. You silence the message without changing the reality underneath it. The legs don't suddenly become stronger, the Z-lines don't repair themselves. You simply remove the sensation that was telling you something is wrong. And now, with the brakes cut, you continue to apply force to tissue that has already begun to break down. This is how manageable damage turns into serious injury. Stress fractures don't appear out of nowhere. Major muscle tears aren't bad luck. They're often the result of continuing to run on compromised structures after the body clearly asked you to stop. And there's another risk that rarely gets discussed: kidney stress. During a marathon, dehydration and muscle breakdown already strain the kidneys. NSAIDs further reduce blood flow to them. Combined, this can push the system past a safe threshold. None of this shows up on a pace chart. None of it feels dramatic in the moment, but the consequences can last far longer than a single race. I don't say this to scare you. I say it because once you understand the role pain plays in endurance, you realize that masking it isn't toughness, it's ignoring the body's last line of defense. And if finishing a race requires numbing that signal, the problem wasn't determination, it was preparation. Once you accept that pain is information, not an obstacle to be overridden, the entire idea of marathon training begins to shift. I no longer see the marathon as a test of how fit your heart can become in 16 weeks. I see it as a long negotiation with structure, a conversation with tissue that adapts slowly, quietly, and without apology. The race doesn't reward enthusiasm. It rewards preparation that respects biology's timelines. This is where the idea of training only to run more miles starts to fall apart. On race day, your legs are not asked to survive 42.2 kilometers. They absorb closer to 44 or 45 kilometers of cumulative load when you account for warm-ups, weaving, GPS drift, and the simple act of moving before and after the race. If your preparation only built enough durability for the number printed on the course map, you arrive at the start line with no margin. And margins are what keep systems intact under stress. That's why I've come to believe marathoners must stop seeing themselves as pure endurance athletes and start thinking like hybrid ones. Running builds capacity, but it also creates damage. Something else has to make the system resilient enough to tolerate that damage. Heavy, deliberate strength work teaches muscle and connective tissue how to absorb force without failing. Long days on tired legs teach the body how to stay coordinated when the shock absorbers are worn down. Work near race pace teaches fibers how to handle the exact mechanics they'll face when it matters. None of this is glamorous. None of it delivers quick validation. But it builds something far more valuable than fitness. It builds durability. The goal isn't to finish by surviving the last kilometers. The goal is to arrive there with a body that still recognizes itself, to make the distance feel shorter than it is, not because you're tougher, but because you're prepared. When you stop chasing fitness alone and start building structure with intention, the marathon changes. It stops being a gamble, and it becomes what it was always meant to be, a test you've already trained to pass. When you step back and look at the full picture, the marathon stops being just a race and starts to look like a mirror. It shows us a pattern that exists far beyond running. We often trust what improves the fastest, what feels good early, and what gives us quick feedback. But the things that actually carry us through long challenges, structure, resilience, durability, are slow to build and easy to ignore. The body doesn't fail suddenly. It fails exactly where preparation stopped. The deeper lesson is simple but uncomfortable. Progress that isn't supported by structure will eventually collapse. This applies to training, to work, to relationships, to life. Don't just build capacity, build foundations. Give time to the parts that don't show results immediately, but decide everything later. Now I'm curious to hear from you. Have you ever felt ready for something, only to realize later that a deeper foundation was missing? Share your thoughts in the comments so we can all learn from each other. And if this way of thinking resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. It's the best way to support more thoughtful, honest content like this in the future.